Let's talk yellow. South African Daryle Impey has made history by becoming the first African to don the prized yellow jersey, or the maillot jaune, at the Tour de France. He took the overall lead yesterday during the fourth stage of the Tour. There he is before he gets the jersey. Just 28 years old, from Johannesburg, taking the race from Australian teammate Simon Gerrans, both of them riding for Orica Green Edge. The race is, of course, a team effort. Each of the 22 teams are made up of 9 riders who race together. Well, let's talk a lot more about this. A very exciting time for South African cycling, and a man who knows a lot about this, Douglas Ryder. Good morning to you, a man who's, by the way, getting a team together to get to the Tour de France one. And this is really what someone like you would have been hoping for eventually with eNCA and Quebec. Daryle's jumped it a bit.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think, this is the centenary Tour de France, and I think it's going to be Africa's tour. You know, you've got Daryle, first African to wear the yellow jersey, which is just off the charts great for the sport on this country and on the continent, and then hopefully, you know, he can keep it for 2 or 3 days, and then Chris Froome could take over and hopefully finish in Paris with the yellow jersey for the Kenyan-born, South African-schooled, British passport guy.
He's about as close to Africa or South Africa as one would imagine. Let's talk a little bit about Daryle, if we can. You know him personally. If I'm not mistaken, I stand to be corrected, he was on a team of yours a couple of years ago. You know him quite well. Tell us a bit about Daryle.
So Daryle joined us in about 2002, actually, when he was very, very young, just finished school, and raced for us in the Microsoft team for many years, for 5 odd years, and was mentored at that time with Malcolm Langer. And so he had a great schooling with good riders, and to back him up and to support him in his career. And then he obviously went to Barloworld, which was fantastic for him. Spent 2 years there. Then went to Radio Shack when Barloworld stopped sponsoring. And then after Radio Shack, he came to us in 2011 and raced with us in 2011 for 6 months. And then got an opportunity to race on NetApp, which was a German team, pro-continental team. And we released him to go, and he rode a really good Tour of Switzerland. And that's when Orica Green Edge, or Green Edge at that time, picked him up.
For viewers, Douglas, if you could explain, we're suggesting, of course, that he's not necessarily going to go on and keep the jersey for the next 3 weeks. Chances are Chris Froome, or one of the overall contenders, will have that. Why won't someone like Daryle keep the jersey, for viewers who might not understand cycling?
Yeah. So Daryle is a great all-round rider. He's a really good sprinter and a good time trialist, but he's not a super climber. And in the ilk of, I guess, Chris Froome and Alberto Contador. So when it comes to the real mountaintop finishes, Daryle won't be at the top of the, you won't be able to climb with those really light guys at the top of the mountain. So he will, he'll lose time, and he won't keep the yellow jersey on those big mountaintop finishes. Because for the Tour de France, to win the Tour de France, you need to be an exceptional climber, and you need to be also a really good rider against the clock, which Daryle is, but he's not. He's
going to lose too much time once the road tilts upwards. Very important, very close to your heart, I know as well. There's this big drive, the International Cycling Union, or the UCI, if you prefer, want an African rider, a South African rider, and also an African team to dominate and to be at the Tour de France. That is something you're heavily involved with, African cycling. What does this do for someone like you and what you're trying to achieve?
Well, it does a lot. We're the first, our team this year is the first African pro-continental team, so the first team registered to race at the 2nd division and 1st division in world cycling, which is fantastic. But having guys like Daryle and Chris Froome at the highest level of the sport, it does build the growth of the sport on the continent, so it gives us more riders to choose from as we go forwards into the future. So it's fantastic for the growth of the sport, and I see this year and the years coming that the landscape of cycling is going to change. Just like Africa changed the landscape of endurance running in the last 30 years, I do see the talent emerging from the African continent that will change the landscape of cycling for the next 30 years.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot quickly. How long is Daryle going to keep this? We're looking at the stage earlier. I was this one big climb, a second category climb today. Can Daryle get over that and just hold on to the jersey? He's not going to win overall. Will he hold on for one more day?
Absolutely. I'm positive that Daryle will get over the climbs today with the front group. And I'm hoping to see Daryle sprint for a victory with Peter Sagan at the end of the stage, because I think the climb is hard enough to drop most of the sprinters. So I think Daryle will be there and then wear the jersey for today and tomorrow, and then the mountaintop finish tomorrow. He's probably going to lose the jersey, but he's got a big fire in his belly now, so I'm sure he'll give it everything he's got.
Imagine him coming across the line, hands in the air with a yellow jersey on his shoulders. Douglas, thank you very much indeed for coming in. The team principal for Team eNCA in Quebec, a team that I'm sure will be at the Tour de France in many years, talking about a man he knows personally as well, Daryle Impey, and the historic receiving of the jersey, the yellow jersey at the Tour de France. There, that's coming.
News that moves. eNCA.com.